Shalom, everybody. This is Zipporah Bream, and I am the artistic editor and editor-in-chief, wearing all hats for artisticministry.net. And I just wanted to share this video that was originally put out by the Badger Report and was also carried by that gang-stalking show. And he encourages everyone to just spread these types of videos around when they do make it into the public, to just help raise awareness. And this one was really, it just kind of like hit a responsive chord in me, because this was a woman who was being stalked and harassed, and who was able to actually gather the evidence, get the proof, and take these individuals to court. And literally, they were literally sentenced. They were found guilty and sentenced. And I just think that is just really just like a win for all of us, because it just shows how real this is. That when tangible evidence is presented, that they can be held accountable. That they are not above the law, as they sometimes, many times, a lot of times, believe that they are. And I think that it's really great for us, because for many of us, we aren't believed. We try to share what it is that we're dealing with, and we're met with skepticism, we're met with ridicule, or just that kind of where people try to be nice and say, well, I think maybe you might be reading a little too much into this, and those types of comments. And because it just seems so out there, it seems so unbelievable that somehow we have to be making this up. This can't be real, right? But yet it is real, and we know this. And then the other side of this is when sometimes the people who are not believing us are people that generally you would think that they would, like this individual right here, someone who does a lot of research, a lot of investigating into just the mindsets of people who many times are perpetrators, many times they are stalkers. They have that narcissistic tendency, which has a lot to do in some cases with these crimes, these heinous crimes that they commit. And so here's an individual who is willing and to take this painstaking time and effort to look into what these people are dealing with, to literally psychologically analyze these people in a way that is neutral, that is thorough, and come away with opinions, with theories, with conclusions that are believable. I definitely enjoy his content, and when I did finally see this video that he did on gang stalking, and I was thinking, oh great, this is going to be really good. And yet what he came away with, after supposedly putting as much investigation and research into this, what is considered a social phenomenon for a lot of people, putting a lot of that same skill set, that research, that investigation, the theorizing into these types of people who are doing this to us, this is what he comes away with. Just let him say it in his own words.
Gang stalking is really a version of paranoid and persecutory delusions.
Okay, there you have it. This is what, that was very disappointing, and I felt, I didn't get to a place of anger or anything like that. I didn't have that much of an emotional commitment to it, but it was very disappointing, and it was very surprising that that this individual, again, who has this a degree, a lot of just background in this area of doing this research, especially in this type of these types of situations, would somehow come away with the idea that hundreds upon hundreds of people from both genders, from all races, from around the globe, we are TIs, we are in every political faction, we are in every religious denomination. It does not matter. We are in any class system. Targeting is taking place in any career, any walk of life. We are all so different, so unique. And one of the things that I speak about in that first episode for Arm Yourselves with Knowledge is the fact that they do these individualized investigations into our lives when they're setting up their protocols into how they're going to come at us. And so for someone to supposedly do all of this research giving this phenomenon targeting gang stalking, the same type of research and investigation and studies that is given in determining, like, say, some of these different cases that he has studied, some of the different individuals, the same intensity, the same focus, the same dedication and commitment that he gives them, we're assuming that he's going to be given to this situation that we're dealing with. And yet for some reason he comes away with this idea that all of us, from all these different walks of life, from all these both genders, all these different things that set us apart, he decides that we are all, again, let's just hear him say it one more time.
It seems pretty clear that most victims of gang stalking are experiencing delusions.
Okay, that is just amazing. How is it that so many different people are suffering from the same delusion? How is that even possible? That does not make any sense. If it was a few of us and we were all isolated in one region of the country and one region of the world, something like with, like the Manson family or something like that, well then yeah, to say that those people are all delusional and all suffering under the same, mental debilities or whatever, then yeah. But this is we're so different, so unique, so scattered out that this could even be just excused away or just as being delusional. It was very disappointing, and yet again, that's one of the aspects of this that they boast about. And we know that, again, as I've shared in that same video, some of the protocols of gang stalking. One of the points that I make is that this is not a new phenomenon. This is not unique. This is something that has been going on for centuries, millennia, going back into, we can look in the scriptures themselves, where different prophets were being gang stalked. King David was a victim of gang stalking. The Messiah himself was a victim of gang stalking. And King David was one of the first people to literally write about this. He didn't call it a gang, he called it a council of the wicked. And again, in that first video, that's some of the protocols of gang stalking, where I do talk about I do a breakdown of Psalm 64. And when he speaks about the council of the wicked and what that council, that's the word that's translated into English. But basically what it is it's a group of people, it's a gang of people that get together, and they have secret conversations about their victims. And as he makes it very clear in verse 5 of Psalm 64, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? Okay, and this fellow here, again, a very clear, well-spoken, intellectual, having a background in doing psychological research, analysis, looks at this situation, at least as how it was, how I perceived what he was saying in this video that he did about targeting. How is that even possible? But that just confirms what David said in the Psalm 64 verse 5, where they say, who shall see them? Who's going to see these snares? If you have to really be looking for them, you have to be just on a spiritual level to see this, because what they're saying basically is what we know as victims of targeting. We know that these people, literally the majority of people going about doing their daily activities, living lives as human doings instead of human beings, really are only aware of just maybe a few inches in front of their face. And that's not condemning them, that's not judging them, that's just the reality of life as we know it. People are caught up in their own lives. They're dealing with this, they're dealing with that, going to work, going to school, picking up their kids. They're worried about their bills, they're worried about their health. So many things are going on for them that these things that are being done in a touchless, silent way, if you're not looking for it, if you don't know what to look for, you won't see it. And it's just amazing that this individual would come away with this. Someone who is, as I'm see his video content and who he is and how he is presenting his videos and everything, which I really appreciate and totally respect, he still comes away with, yet here we have this video of the media announcement of a situation where a woman is literally being stalked, and some of the things that were presented in the evidence are the exact same protocols that are mentioned in the first episode of Arm Yourselves with Knowledge, and what many of us have experienced, which we know is really going on. And yet these were things that she was able to document, to get valid evidence that it was happening, so much so that she was able to bring a lawsuit against them. And so I just wanted to, I was just really pleased. Let me just use that word. I was pleased to see this video, and I decided, yeah, I'm gonna further it along too. Just like Badger Report asked, just like that gang-stalking show did, I'm gonna do it too. And but I wanted to come on first and just say this because I think it's really important. And it's when we do get hurt, when one of us does gets a victory, I feel that it's a victory for all of us. And so, also, if you feel the same way, be sure and make a copy of this somehow, mirror this, and put it on your video on your YouTube channel as well. Okay, shalom, everybody.
What is up, YouTube? This is Brock with the Badger Report. Today I'm going to show you 100% proof without a shadow of a doubt that the police participate in gang stalking. You hear a lot of personal testimonies out there on the internet from targeted individuals, but it's mostly based on their personal observation. There's not a lot of proof being circulated about this to back up our testimonies. Well, here it is. Here it is for you. And it's going to be up to the TI community to share this out. Share this out to family, friends, social media of all kinds. Share this out. This is 100% proof. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
A nearly 2-year investigation into the conduct of both current and retired members of the Calgary Police Service has culminated in a number of charges. 3 officers, 1 former officer of the service, 1 former civilian member of the service, and 1 citizen were charged on Wednesday, June 15th, 2016. In August 2014, a woman came forward with allegations of harassment by a group of individuals she believed had been hired by her ex-common-law husband. The investigation by the Calgary Police Service Anti-Corruption Unit revealed that her ex had hired a man who in turn hired a number of individuals to follow her and report back her activity to the ex. The man who was initially hired by the ex is a retired member of the CPS and conducted security work after he left the service. Investigators believe he, in conjunction with his wife, who is a former civilian member of the CPS, engaged the services of 3 current members of the Calgary Police Service who unlawfully followed, watched, and harassed the victim. In addition, the members allegedly accessed police databases.
Accessing police databases? Can anyone say Fusion Center?
To gain private information about the victim to assist in their actions. As a result of the investigation, the following people have been charged. Kenneth Robert Carter, 65, has been charged with criminal harassment and perjury. Carter is the ex-common-law husband of the victim. Stephen Charles Walton, 59, has been charged with criminal harassment, bribery of officers, improper storage of a firearm, and perjury. He was a sworn member of the Calgary Police Service from 1978 to 2003. Heather Naomi Walton, 53, wife of Stephen Walton, has been charged with criminal harassment, bribery, and improper storage of a firearm. She was employed as a civilian employee of the CPS between 1990 and 2003. Anthony John Braille, 47, is charged with criminal harassment, bribery, and unauthorized use of a computer. Braille is a 21-year member of the Calgary Police Service who was dismissed from the service earlier this year in relation to an unrelated matter and remains relieved from duty without pay. Brian Allen Morton, 32, is charged with criminal harassment, bribery, unauthorized use of a computer, and breach of trust. Morton is a 9-year member of the Calgary Police Service. Morton was suspended with pay Wednesday, August 12th, 2015, and his suspension status is currently under review. Bradford Robert McNish, 58, is charged with bribery, unauthorized use of a computer, and breach of trust. McNish is a 14-year member of the Calgary Police Service. McNish was suspended with pay Wednesday, August 12, 2015. His suspension status is currently under review. Professional Standards Section investigation will proceed upon the conclusion of the criminal process. It's a sense of betrayal that officers feel. They uphold the public's trust at the highest level, and whenever that's eroded, it feels personal. And I can tell you that there are about 1,500 calls that are going to be answered today. 850 of them we're going to have officers attending, and each one of them go out there to do their very best. And that betrayal runs deep.
Justice Mahoney saying on Wednesday that the offenses were not short-term schemes, that they were serious, persistent, and bold. Brian Morton, Brad McNish, and Anthony Braille were found guilty following a trial in April 2018. Justice Mahoney calling their actions a campaign of harassment and intimidation. Harassment and intimidation.
Harassment and intimidation.
The 3 officers all worked for a private investigator outside their jobs and spent 2 years targeting a Kelly Taylor, who was in a custody battle with her ex. Taylor's former boyfriend hired the PR firm to try and collect damning evidence against her. Morton was on active duty at the time and was found guilty of criminal harassment, breach of trust, bribery, and unauthorized use of a computer. He was sentenced to 30 months. Brad McNish was on workers' compensation at the time, and on Wednesday, McNish was sentenced to 6 months. And Anthony Braille, who was on suspension from the Calgary Police Service during the harassment, was sentenced to 3 months to be served intermittently.
I think the court made it clear that he viewed it as being a very serious case of police corruption, and that he put careful consideration into what the appropriate sentence is. The public puts significant trust in them. They have significant powers and authorities, and so it's important that they not breach that trust.
Retired Calgary Police Detective Steve Walton was the one running the PI firm. He and Taylor's ex-businessman Ken Carter were both found guilty of criminal harassment last year.
All right, so let's get into some of the details of this case. Okay, 3 Calgary officers who made the police available for sale sentenced to jail in corruption case. Brian Morton, Brad McNish, and Anthony Braille were convicted in April 2018. This is an article from CBC by Megan Grant, March 20, 2019. You see here are the 3 perps, the 3 gang stalkers, really clean-cut looking guys. You're really upstanding citizens, huh? 3 Calgary officers who made the police available for sale have been sentenced to jail terms in a corruption case involving a woman who was stalked and harassed. Stalked and harassed, you say? Hey, isn't that what those targeted individuals have been talking about for like decades? By them for months. Brian Morton, Brad McNish, and Anthony Braille were convicted last year of corruption-related crimes. On Wednesday, Morton received a 30-month sentence and McNish got 6 months behind bars. Braille, who was given a significant reduction in his sentence for cooperating with police and prosecutors, will he be allowed to serve his 3-month sentence on weekends. So the guy gets to go in on weekends, do a little jail time, take a little vacation. So these 3 gang-stalking, perpetrating police officers who psychologically tortured this woman for profit get 30 months, 6 months, and 3 months. It's not right. Sheriffs escorted Morton and McNish into custody after the Queen of Court's bench, Justice Brian Mahoney, handed down the sentences. Crimes like these violate the most basic trust between citizens and police. No, you think? said Mahoney in delivering his decision. Mahoney said the officers' crimes were not short-term schemes and characterized offenses as serious, persistent, and bold. You have to prove them to be persistent in a court of law. The case centers around the breakup, hostile relationship, and bitter custody battle between Akel Taylor and Ken Carter. Carter, a wealthy businessman, then hired an unlicensed private investigation firm run by former police. The Waltons used the services of current and former Calgary police officers, including Morton, McNish, and Braille. For nearly 2 years, Akel Taylor was followed and harassed. A GPS tracker was placed on her car. And her friends were offered money in exchange for dirt on the single mother. Ooh, those crazy targeted individuals. They think people are tracking them, and their friends are being paid to inform on them. Well, what you think about that? Huh? I tell you what, you go sit in the corner, you sip on your haterade, and I'll keep reporting the news. Sound good? The surveillance was designed to intimidate Taylor, evoke a sense of powerlessness, and highlight the imbalance of power between the victim and Carter, said the judge in reading from his 38-page decision. When police sell their services for personal profit, the rule of law breaks down. Mr. Morton made the police available for sale to Mr. Carter to help him win a custody dispute. Whether their shifts were 2 hours or 12 hours, the men were paid $1,000 per day. The Waltons also paid the officers to search for information on internal CPS databases. Taylor testified she felt paranoid, anxious, and fearful. That's the point of a psychological operation. Believing the police would not help her. This belief was reasonably held, said Mahoney, pointing out the marked police cars were sometimes used in the surveillance, and Taylor witnessed Walton speaking with an officer whom she had called to her home. Each of the defense lawyers, Jim Lutz, Pat Fagan, and Paul Brennan, proposed sentences that would involve their clients serving their time in the community. Prosecutors Leah Boyd and Julie Snowden argued Morton should spend 4 years in custody. They recommended 3 years for Braille and 18 months for McNish. The public puts significant trust in officers. They have significant powers and authorities, and so it's important they not breach that trust, said Snowden outside the courtroom after sentencing. Braille and Morton were convicted of bribery, harassment, and unauthorized use of a computer system. Morton also faced a guilty verdict on a charge of breach of trust. Braille was fired by CPS in 2016 for professional misconduct relating to a 2008 high-speed chase. Morton and McNish remain suspended without pay. The Waltons and Ken Carter were also convicted of offenses related to the harassment of Taylor and face a separate sentencing hearing, which was postponed pending Mahoney's decision and will begin later this year. All right, you guys, please share this out. 100% proof that the police participate in gang stalking right here, and it's up to you guys to share this.